What's cracking? I'm Nick Danger, and you're now tuned into the Art of MV. Welcome to my channel, and thanks for watching the video. Like that channel on the way in, man. Subscribe to the channel, share the channel, and do me a favor. Leave it all in the comment section for me, and let's talk some MV shit, right? So I've been gone for a while. Been a little busy, but I'm always around. And I'm always on the internet of things, watching this community of bedroom musicians, industry producers, and just the whole producer community, quote unquote. And I got a couple of things to say. Got a little reaction that kind of fits in with that, and also some updates on the channel. And just MV talk, man. You know how I do it, man. We all MV here, man. So let's get into it.
You know, when this dude came up in there, and I had that type of situation. You know, I'm in the car, I'm in my sweatpants. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming to work, so I ain't iced out or nothing. I'm coming to work, so you know, dude came up in there. You know, he had 100 beats. You know, he had you ready to do it. By the time they played the first one, they was like, "Yo, that shit is hot." Played the second guy. When he came in, they said, "Yo, man, you know what I'm saying? That's something." So he came up to you, man. What's up? What's up?
Arrogance, right?
Yo, nothing arrogant. I guess just feel himself. No blessings to him. You know what I'm saying? But you know, he played his beat. First beat was dope. Second beat was dope. Third beat sounded like the first beat, but was still dope. Fourth beat sounded like the first and second beat, but still was kind of dope. Fifth beat sounded like every other one. Sixth beat sounded like every other one. Sound like everyone. By the time he got to the 18th joint, they kicked him out the room.
Dang.
Found out he was just sounding like the last nigga that was in there. You know what I'm saying?
So first thing I noticed that he had multiple kits out, multiple pieces of kit, right? But the biggest thing that he said was, to me, is that the guy sounded the same out of 100 beats, and he only made it to 18 out of 100 before they whizzed him out the room, right? And then he said, well, it just sounded like the next guy. And I think that is definitely it has something to do with the glut of tutorials and courses and just the whole internet of learning to music produce, right? Everybody kind of giving away their sauce. And so everybody's buying everybody's sauce. So that's why I love about working on MVs, because very few peoples are giving up that sauce on the MV because they're not quote unquote popular. Now that's to be desired. We'll get into that later, but it does afford you a method of finding your own frequency. I personally find it kind of liberating to not follow people who use MPCs or people who use SP404s or machines or whatever. With the MV, it's its own thing, man. Which brings me to the second part of what I like to say. Now, before I leave this topic, the reason I thought about this is because the YouTube producer community kind of exists like this. You have guys that got popular because of YouTube and on YouTube as YouTubers. We all know who these guys are. Then there's a certain other producer that were already in the industry. Guys like Rottweiler, guys like Dame Taylor, guys like EA Ski, who know the software in and out, but they also know the hardware part in and out as well, right? So they have an opinion, and then there's a butting of heads because of what the industry producers deem as the devaluing of their craft. Of course, you're gonna think your craft is devalued if you have a group of producers now selling professional grade audio for 99 cents. So that's going to degrade, so you're going to have something to say about it. And that is the gaping chasm that kind of plagues this whole YouTube producer space. I stand on both sides. I kind of understand both arguments, but I kind of fall in with the industry guys, as I don't think everybody should be cooking with the same sauce. And I think that it kind of hurts an up-and-coming guy or somebody who's learning to produce by following a known formula, simply because I believe that formula is outdated the minute it's already in the air. The minute something is popular or something becomes a wave, the minute it becomes a wave, it's already old. So you don't need to do that no more, man. It's already that's yesterday already. So that's my thoughts on that. And let's get into some more MV type stuff, right? So there's some people who buy MVs that don't quite understand what they're getting. And here's what I mean, right? When I got my MV, I really expected it to be a baby MV-8000, right? But let's back up even further. When the MC-707 came out and the 101 came out, I figured the MC-707 would be something like the MV. Just looking at how it looked, I thought that for sure, other than the 16 pads being 8x8 instead of 16x16, I thought that was going to be the MV that we wanted, and it wasn't. I thought that the 101 may be like a baby 404. It wasn't that, right? So I bought my MV when the MV, not exactly when it came out, but I bought the MV-1 Verse Lab just before the arrival of the 404 Mark II. So the SP404 Mark II gave me just a tad bits of buyer's remorse, because to me it had a much better sample profile than the MV-1 Verse Lab, and it still does, right? But before I shipped my MV back off, because I had 45 days to test it out, I started to use it, and the more I used it, the more I understood it was more what I wanted than the SP404 Mark II. Now don't get me wrong, I still believe that they shorted us with the sample profile of the MV-1 Verse Lab. I thought it should have the same kind of sample profile that the 404 has, but it does not. And I believe the only reason I did not buy a 404 is because I already own an SP555, which is very close to the 404 as far as the profile. It has the same amount of IOs, has some of the same tendencies, the same amount of effects. It just doesn't have the same effects, and it's older, so it doesn't have some of the more modern upgrades that they afforded on the new SP. But it does a lot of stuff that the SP404 does as well, the Mark II version. And so I knew that the MV was exactly kind of what I wanted. Now, some people buy the MV-1 Verse Lab and they don't quite know what they want. So you get caught up in going and making quotes like this on Facebook or in the YouTube forums or whatever you want to call it. All the MV focus groups, you got guys that be like, well, I really wish that the MV would have more sound design capabilities so I can do the Zencore engine like you can on the 101. Well, the MV is not that, and I think that most people would be give themselves a better outlook if they kind of did a little research before you purchase your Verse Lab MV-1 to see if it's what you want. Because to end this part, I'm gonna tell you one thing: the MV is designed to songwrite, and it's a production tool. It's not a sound design tool, and it's not actually a sampler. Not in the case when you think about the MV-8000, 8800, or the SP series. It's not that kind of sampler. The MV-1 Verse Lab is a production unit that has a sample feature on it, but it's not the feature on the box, right? Tons of sounds that you can kind of customize, but you can't sound design from it, right? You just can't. It's not designed for that. But I haven't really wanted to do that, and I've kind of accepted it for what it is, and I'm kind of digging it, right? That's most people who are disappointed in MVs to do your research, and you need to buy the gear that suits you best instead of trying to request things that are not on the MV. Focus on the strengths. Like, let me give you an example. So yeah, this is the MV being used as an interface. First on the Cakewalk DAW that I like to run, and then with Zenbeats. Now, we're not going to focus much on the Cakewalk DAW because that's just using the USB over audio, but it can be done. And I had to do it in kind of a pinch, right? But at its core, the MV-1 has a feature that's pretty dope, and it comes with most of the new Roland gear, and that is it has audio interface functionality. But with Zenbeats, you get to do a little more, and you can dump your stems right into Zenbeats in song mode and just kind of drop your beat in there stem for stem, you know what I mean? And you can drop whatever's coming on the external inputs, as well as, you know, if you want to do a stereo track depending on your device. Now, I have the version of Zenbeats that's fully expanded, which goes across all platforms, but the integration is enough to finish work. So if you're like, say, I remember when Madlib told everybody that he did a lot of the Freddie Gibbs beats that they did for Pinata, and they did for the other one. I think they made 2 albums, but he told the world that he did it on the iPad. Well, you can hook your MV directly up to your iPad, edit your beat, edit your composition, edit your song, and then export that whole track right out to Zenbeats. I find that a worthy integration. I think more full integration is planned. I just don't think it's happened yet. I'm optimistic that they will implement more functionality between the MV-1 Verse Lab and the Zenbeats in a future DAW or future update. But I'm kind of satisfied being able to just dump audio stem for stem right inside the DAW or right inside of Zenbeats. I think that is a cool function, and I think it's very overlooked, and that gives me a chance to talk about my next subject, which is an update on the channel. So check it out. And we're back. So I got to this point where I have to upgrade my system, and a couple of things happen, right? So for a while I've been broadcasting digital outside the box. Basically, I wasn't coming through my interface anymore, and it was strictly on the VS100 digital mixer side because, well, Microsoft decided to stop giving certain support to Windows 10. Not actually Microsoft, but the iLock and a lot of the cloud keys, or the cloud that you have to authenticate, some of the software plugins I like to use, well, they weren't supported by Windows 10 anymore. And Roland had no intention of updating those drivers for Windows 11. So I was forced to buy another PC, and basically it pretty much put the nail in the coffin for my interface. Now, I love my interface because it affords me certain high-end features like the SD card recorder, right? Multiple outs. So I had to find me something a little different. But I was thinking, if I'm going to make a change, what direction do I want to go? Do I want to add more analog into the signal path, which I do. I've done that before, and I know the difference, but I had to go somewhere and readjust my ears. So I went to a friend, and I went to his studio, and got a chance to work with genuine tube EQs, tube compressors, dynamic processors, much like the stereo dynamics processor that's inside the MV-8000 and the MFX, but the actual hardware thing, right? And it readjusted my hearing. And let me tell you that even though the EQs boost and cut inside the box, compressors compress inside the box, limiters limit, they don't sound anything like tube compressors and EQs, or those things don't do the same thing as when a sound is touched by a hot tube that's been sitting on all day, much like this one. Um, and or hot circuitry that is expanded, making the sound just. That's what they mean by warm up the sound, is when it's touched by analog gear, right? And this has become a stickler because the reason I avoided introducing analog signals is because I got tired of replacing cables and troubleshooting when I heard an annoying hum or a hiss that I just didn't like, or static, or sound was going in and out. Then you got to go chase down, let's see if it's a cable, see if it's a channel, maybe a channel input that's dusty or loose. And I got tired of that, so I pretty much just went inside the box. Now, don't get me wrong, I think I'm going to go more towards a hybrid look and a hybrid system. I'm going to go more towards a hybrid, which is good with the MV-1 Verse Lab and the MV-8000. So we're actually going to be working more in and out the box going forward. I love my console 1 for console emulation, so I'm not going to going out and get an expensive SSL board, though I really want to. I just don't think it's necessary. And working in a hybrid function should be pretty informative, and that's what I try to be. As you guys know, I don't pride myself on being a tutorial channel or nothing like this, or a tips and tricks network. I just want to be really informative and enthusiastic about the MV series. And the MV series allows you to highlight other peripheral gear, like my SP, like my Phantom, like my Integra. But still, the MV does so much that you can talk about and go on for days about what it does and what it doesn't do. But what it does do is beg you, implore you to create full compositions and not just beats. And that's the thing about it that has gotten me. That's another reason I've been a little quiet, because I've actually been songwriting. Yes, songwriting, because this thing implores me to finish something. Shout out to all the guys who complete music, complete songs inside their MV-1 Verse Lab, inside their MV-8000. I will be concentrating on that a lot more. And on the last 12 days before Christmas, which we're almost there, I will be putting out a video every day. This is video number 75. Video number 75, man. I didn't think I had 50 videos in me. So to have 75 videos up on YouTube and have 590 something people interested and actually listen to me talk about the MV, because that's all I talk about is the MV series. Maybe a little 555 and Phantom in there, but it's an MV channel, man. And I thank you guys. And going forward, I will try to give more insight into this wonderful piece of kit that we call the MV. And yeah, see you on the next video soon. Peace.